Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. Well, we're back on these E7s and we're on the intake side. And I highlighted all the crucial areas that you'll want to be cutting back and leveling out. And just kind of making this head a little bit better than it is from the factory. So what you're going to do, the first thing we're going to look at is the floor area, which has a little bump in it right here. So you don't get crazy with this. You just level this out a little bit, even things out. You don't want to take any more off the floor than you have to, but you can just kind of get the little bump out of it right here. And that's if you want to. So that's an opinion thing. Some guys would say, well, that don't really hurt anything. But I like getting the floor straight and smooth. And I mean smooth as far as no restriction, not smooth as far as the casting, because you really do want the floor a little bit rough as far as breaking the fuel up. So we'll jump over here to the long wall, and as you can see, well, I hope you can see, the air comes in, and then it has a low spot right here off the corner. Then it goes high. Then it peaks. Then it goes low. Then it goes down on an angle, and it gets real low right here, a low spot. Then it angles back up and goes back up on an angle, almost like a sliding board type thing. So down by your guide right here is pretty restrictive. So this wants to get cut back. But what you don't want to do is start leveling your floor out and your sidewalls, and then notice that this had a high spot here, and start gnawing at this from this end and just staying there with your bit, because this is thin in here. There's a couple areas right here on this side of the port that's thin, and you could go through, and if you don't go through, you could make it so thin and have a problem and you wouldn't know it. So always check your work and use your common sense. So we're going to jump over on this other side here. I hope you can see, but you have the high spot where the air comes in right here, and the air has to hit that wall right here, go around, and then this wall drops way back and has a very big low spot behind it. And then you can see the wall taper back. So I don't know if you guys can see or not. I got the light in there, but it's very hard to put the light and have it where you guys could see exactly what I'm talking about. So I hope you can see. I'll hold the camera there, hoping you can see how it dips down and then goes back towards the guide. So if you look at this port, you'll notice when you look down the port how much area you have for the air to move. And if you look at the guide sticking up and look at the wall up top, it shows how much area you have is not a whole lot once you get back in here. So the air is pretty restrictive back here. So I did this port here, and you guys know I cut the guide down. I straightened the wall on this side, and I think you can tell that you can see a lot more of this guide. It looks more centered in the runner. And I did just straighten things out, like where the wall was crooked here. That's all I did is taper all this in, fellas. So you don't have to go crazy. All you want is a nice cleanup in the port. So however way you want to do it, if you just want to cut the guide back a little bit, because you don't want to take the guide out like I did, and just make it smooth around where the air comes around the guide, you can do it that way, or however way you want to. So there's no really a right or wrong way. It depends on what you're doing with the head. Now remember this, if you're trying to blow a pair of these heads out to make it do something that they're not meant to do, then you're going to wind up in trouble, most likely, if you've never ported a head before. Guys that know what to do, I wouldn't have to say that to them, because they would already know that. But I always get concerned because I have people that are learning how to do this, and that's what I worry about. I had some stuff in that port, fellas. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but I'll let you look at that. Now, you might think that port's blowed out pretty hard, but it's really not. One thing I will say, if you round your ports in and put the round effect on it in the corners, be sure you don't leave a low spot in your corners, because that will not give you an advantage. It will actually stagger the air in the corners if there's a low spot in these corners. So you want to make sure that your corners are completely rounded in and tapered to the roof and the sidewall, tapered from the floor to the sidewall. If you put you just ground this back and forth right here and let the bit grab, and you leave a little low spot there, well, it's not going to be too good. I would say this, on the floor, it wouldn't be as crucial as it would up to the roof. But that's just my opinion. That's no proof that I have of that. That's just something I would think. So I'm just giving you a little bit of my way of thinking. But this is a stock gasket, stock replacement gasket, Fel-Pro. So I'll give you an idea of what you'll wind up with. So that shows you that this port is not hogged out. And it doesn't need to be hogged out. I'm trying to center it a little bit, guys. Hang on. That's more like it. But I wanted to show you fellas that, because you probably noticed that I didn't mark the gasket up here and bother showing you guys that. And the reason I didn't do that is because of one thing. I worked my way out of the port and just leveled this till it was level. So if anybody wants to put the gasket up there and use your Dykem or a marker and mark this first, you can do that. But I worked my way back, like I said, out of the port instead of working my way in. And I did that for a reason, because I wanted to show guys that if you get this level first, it's more important than trying to make this match to the gasket. Because when you just level things out and back, and you don't come all the way out to the outside of the port, you're going to wind up with a more consistent port that way, because you're concentrating on the areas that are bad instead of worrying about port matching this to a gasket. If I had to choose between the two, somebody said, well, you can port match this, or you can do this work in here. Well, I guarantee if I port match this and don't do this work in here, I don't think you'd pick up anything. I don't think the car would even show a different time. I'm just speculating, because I'm just picking and choosing a battle here. If I had to make a choice, just to explain my concept behind this, my point is this work in here is more important than port matching to that gasket. And especially if you want to really open this up real big. Well, I had a couple guys ask me about that, Depends what you're doing with the engine, depends what cam you're going with, and your reason behind that. Because as far as if you want to go by flow numbers, and you make this bigger out here, this chokes off back here. As far as a flow number, I don't think you'd see any increase by making this bigger. And I think you probably would lose airspeed. Now, I did my other heads on that concept as far as bigger out here. But I had a whole different reason for doing that. I don't want to go into that because this is a different segment. This is about trying to show somebody how to do something, not about what I did or what I do. So I don't want to mislead somebody and have them thinking that they're leaving horsepower on the table by telling you to go crazy on a port when there's no reason to do that. Because chances are, when you guys get finished with your heads, if you just do a basic cleanup on them and do all the things I pointed out, I think you're going to be happy. So I'm going to cut this short, guys, because I think I've addressed most of the things. If I missed anything that you need to ask me about, just shoot me a little comment and I'll answer it. And outside of that, I want to thank you fellas for taking time out of your day to watch these segments and let you know that I appreciate it, guys. So I'm going to wrap this up and tell you guys thank you again and God bless you.